Rita's grandmother clasped her hands together, her voice trembling with worry. Rita, please. Stop bathing at night. The darkness is not meant for you. But Rita only rolled her eyes and waved her hand dismissively. Nana, leave me alone. I've been doing this for years and nothing ever happened. I can't even sleep without bathing first. Her grandmother's gaze lingered on her, heavy and sorrowful. I only pray you don't learn the hard way, she whispered. Rita was the most beautiful girl in the village of Amu. Her skin was smooth and radiant, her eyes sparkled like fresh morning dew, and her smile carried a softness that drew admiration from everyone who saw her. Yet, behind her, beauty was a habit that unsettled the elders, her nightly baths. While the villagers finished bathing before the sun dipped beyond the hills, Rita waited until the shadows grew long and the night embraced the land like a thick, black cloth. Only then would she carry her clay pot behind the house, hidden from prying eyes, to pour cool water over her skin. Her mother, Yi, had warned her many times. Rita, my child, water is different at night. When the sun sleeps, spirits rise. Don't invite trouble, she would say, shaking her head. But Rita would only laugh. Mama, those are just old stories. I love the night. It's quiet, it's cool. The water feels alive then. Even Nana, who rarely spoke, broke her silence one evening. Her voice was low, her eyes clouded with something deeper than age. It is not the water you should fear. It is what the water calls in the dark. Rita brushed it off, thinking her grandmother was just clinging to ancient fears. What harm could water possibly bring? So that night, under the silver glow of a high moon, Rita filled her clay pot once more. She hummed softly as the cold water slid down her skin. And for a moment, it was perfect. The stars above glittered, the night air was still, and everything felt calm. Until it changed. A chill swept through the air, so sudden it stole her breath. The night grew unnaturally quiet. No crickets, no frogs, no rustling leaves, only silence. And then she heard it. A sound. Low. Close. Breathing. Some prayers reach heaven immediately. Others are answered in ways we never expect. You prayed every night, asking God to protect her family. Yet deep down, she longed for something more. For Mr. John to kneel beside her, even just once. But that day never came. The house remained filled with laughter and chatter. The children's voices danced through the air as they argued about who would climb the biggest tree or fetch water from the stream first when they reached the village. Mr. John watched them, smiling with pride. Ooh watched too. But her smile was different. Small, quiet, and heavy with unspoken worry. She whispered a prayer under her breath, her eyes fixed on her family. Lord, please, keep us safe this Christmas. But as the festive days drew nearer, a shadow crept silently toward them. Something that waited patiently on the road ahead. Something that would soon test their faith and shake everything they believed in. One evening, Mr. John was driving home from work, humming to the sound of Christmas songs on the radio. His mind wandered, thinking of the journey, the laughter, the village, the warm air of home. Then, as he turned a sharp corner, his headlights caught a figure standing by the roadside. An old woman. She stood alone, waving weakly, clutching a small basket in one hand. Her wrapper was tied tightly around her waist, and the night air seemed to cling to her like a shadow. Mr. John slowed down and rolled down the window. "Mama, where are you going?" he asked kindly. "My son," the old woman replied in a weary voice. "I'm going to the next street." "Can you help me?" Without hesitation, Mr. John nodded. "Of course, Mama. Get in." The old woman climbed into the car slowly, settling on the seat with quiet dignity. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The car rolled forward gently, the road stretching ahead, dark, silent, endless. Something about the air changed. Something unseen was beginning. Some warnings come like whispers in the night, quiet, strange, and easy to ignore. Until it's too late. The car moved through the lonely road, swallowed by darkness. The only sounds were the hum of the engine and the faint chorus of crickets echoing from the fields. Mr. John tapped the steering wheel softly, lost in thought. Then the old woman cleared her throat. "My son," she began, in a voice both gentle and unsettling. I hope you won't be angry with what I'm about to say. Mr. John glanced at her, curious. What is it, Mama? The woman took a long, trembling breath before speaking again. This Christmas, you must not travel to your village. But if you must go, you and your family should pray and fast before the journey. There is danger ahead, my son. Danger that prayers alone can still turn away. Her words hung in the air like smoke. The road seemed to grow quieter. Then, Mr. John burst into laughter, a loud, careless laugh that filled the car. Mama, he said between chuckles, you want me to stop my family from going home for Christmas? We travel every year. Nothing ever happens. Don't worry yourself. The old woman's face didn't change. Her eyes grew darker, more distant, as if seeing something far beyond the road. I have said what I came to say, she murmured softly. The rest is in your hands, my son. When they reached her stop, Mr. John pulled over. The old woman slowly opened the door, then turned to him one last time. Thank you for the ride. But remember my words. Pray and fast, if you must go. Mr. John smiled and waved, amused. All right, Mama. Take care of yourself. As he drove away, he shook his head. Why do people love to scare others with old stories, he thought. To him, she was just another superstitious villager trying to sound wise. He convinced himself nothing could go wrong. After all, they had traveled that same road many times before. But behind him, the old woman remained standing in the dust, her face unreadable under the pale moonlight. She watched the car disappear into the night, her message delivered. What happened next was no longer in her hands. It was now 2 days to Christmas. Sometimes God speaks, not through thunder or dreams, but through small signs we choose to ignore. Christmas morning arrived in a rush of laughter and excitement. The house was alive, children running from room to room, shouting, dancing, and dragging their small bags behind them. The air smelled of fresh clothes, baked snacks, and the promise of the long-awaited village trip. By the front door, bags were neatly stacked, filled with gifts, clothes, and everything they'd need for the holiday. Mr. John stood proudly by, checking the time and urging everyone to hurry up. But in the middle of all that noise, Ooh stood still, her calm presence cutting through the chaos. Everyone, she called gently, come to the living room. Let's pray before we go. Her voice was soft, but firm. Mr. John sighed, rubbing his temples. Ooh, again with this prayer thing? We're not going to the moon, it's just the village. Let me go warm up the car. He waved her off and stepped outside. Ooh closed her eyes briefly, the faintest sadness crossing her face. Then she knelt down, gathering the children around her. Together, they prayed quietly. Her voice trembled slightly as she whispered, Lord, protect us. Guide my family. Don't let our joy become sorrow. Outside, Mr. John slid into the driver's seat and turned the ignition. The key clicked. The engine sputtered and died. He frowned, tried again. Nothing. Just the faint cough of a dying engine. What is this now? He muttered. Getting out, he lifted the bonnet, peering inside as though the machine would somehow explain itself. He fiddled with the wires, tapped the battery, tried again. Still silence. Frustrated, he slammed the bonnet shut and went back inside. Ooh, the car won't start, he said, scratching his head. I don't know what's wrong with it. Yu looked up from where she knelt, her expression calm, almost peaceful. Maybe, she said softly. God doesn't want us to go. Mr. John's eyes flashed with irritation. Stop saying that, Ooh. What does God have to do with a car engine? He snapped. But deep inside, something cold brushed against his heart. Something he couldn't explain.